Welcome, everyone, to the first ever From the Ashes, Episode 1. This is going to be an interactive YouTube video series that we will discuss Ashes of Creation, its lore, how we are affected by this lore, what we think of it, and what it means for our community. We're going to start off with a basic, what is Ashes of Creation? So I'm going to start with basically just reading right off the wiki. It's going to be really basic to start with. And once we get comments and suggestions rolling, we're going to deep dive into lore, really deep, into every aspect of this game, week by week. So let's get started. Ashes of Creation is a unique take on an MMO experience. Our world structure is dynamic and built to react to the actions of our players. Cities will rise and fall, their populations based on the history of the world as players create it. Quests will unlock these populations, gather, their needs grow, and secrets are unlocked. As the world's NPC structure is established in real time, players will have the ability to destroy what they've created, paving way for new development, new populations, and real change. Political strife, intrigue, will play a very real role in the structure of your world. Gone are the days of static worlds. Change is here to stay. We have a little section of the map from Alpha 1, just kind of looking at what the nodes kind of look like. You can see borders and towns, things like that. Ashes of Creation takes place within a medieval fantasy setting, blending imagination with cutting-edge graphics. We are putting the world massive back into massively multiplayer with a unique and novel mechanics that will bring meaning to each player action. Ashes of Creation will incorporate the best parts of traditional Morpegs with the innovative sandbox concepts. You will choose your fate at every opportunity. Quest lines will open and close based on the interactions of the players with their world. Because this is a world where choice is consequential, monsters will roam, grow in ferocity as civilization disrupts the natural order of things. From the locations of town to the size of your city, you will determine the landscape of your world. It will be unique in culture, ecology, and economy, which means every server everywhere is going to grow and change differently. So what one opportunity is here may not be this exact same opportunity there. There's going to be very little of this cookie cutter, this is what you do. So it'll be different with everyone, which is really, really great and exciting. An open world. Ashes of Creation is a unique take on a Morpeg experience. Our world structure is dynamic, build to react, cities will rise and fall, quests and secrets will unlock as populations and their needs grow. So this is basically the same explanation of the last one, but it's really, really cool how this is set up in the way that every one of them is different. Risk versus a reward. All across Vera, you'll have the opportunity to experience massive warfare, participate in epic trade caravans, and gather valuable components to craft exquisite items. Not only will your fellow players be adversaries, the creatures of the land and the very environment itself will pose constant and fresh challenge. Will you siege castles, become royalty, defeat other guilds to showcase your prowess, shape the marketplace by being a successful trader, or earn renown by developing artisan and crafting skills? The story is yours. You tell us. And that kind of brings to what I want with this video series. So every week I want to release this video, and it's going to be based off of your questions and comments. So please ask as many as you'd like, and we'll get through as many as we can in each week. So here's a basic layout of classes for this game. And the reason I wanted to bring this type of information in, because each of these classes represent a lore path. This will be very important in our video series because we're going to cover each type of class and what it means for the lore. So they have a specific terminology. They call it archetypes. So you have a base class: fighter, tank, rogue, ranger, mage, summoner, cleric, and bard. So you have a main archetype, which you choose at the very, very beginning. Okay, and it's important because you cannot change this once you've established this. But there's a secondary archetype you get later on, level 25-ish, I want to believe. So if you're a warrior and your secondary type is, say, a tank as well, you're called a guardian. This enhances your ability to have defensives, your augments to your spells, which is what they call it, kind of further entrenches that ability, right? But if you're a tank that, say, wants a little bit of ranger style, maybe you want to pull with an arrow and then tank, something like that. Then you're called a warden. Maybe you want to be a tank that heals a little bit. So you get a couple of cleric spells or augments of their spells. So then you become a paladin. So maybe you wouldn't get a big heal, but maybe you would get like a heal over time that is in with one of your spells. That's kind of how they explain it, that it'll be working. For me personally, I'm really excited about the cleric trees and the summoner trees. So I'm looking at some kind of mix of those. That's really what I like. Okay, so now we have races. And this is where we're going to eventually really dig deep into each one. I'm going to read off this page that we have here, and then we're going to start with my personal favorite race. Just a brief explanation of it, and then next week we'll dig a little bit deeper into them, as well as what do you guys want to see? What race do you want to be next? So please comment and subscribe to this channel to see more. So Vera is a world with rich and diverse cultures. Much of its important history has been dominated by major races: humans of the coast and plains, orcs within the hills and marshes, elves within the forest and riverlands, and the esteemed dwarves of the mountains. The major races held dominance through countless wars and skirmishes between lesser races of Vera. Decades may pass between these flare-ups of violence. There are many minor races on Vera. Some of the minor races exist in makeshift villages and tribes that you will find. Some of the major villages among the minor races are comprised primarily of giants, less reputable sects of human, gnomes, and halflings. The halflings are not halflings in the traditional sense, but usually half-bloods of different races. Now that's a little quote from Stephen Sharif. Wandering the darker places in the world lie truly sinister abominations of creation. Yet the great clutches of civilization often dispatch heroes of the state to eliminate these threats to mortals. There usually currently exist 4 great nations of Vera. This is a 25-year roughly before the fall: the Alien Empire, the Pyrian Kingdom, the Kaivek Protectorate, and the nation of the Dunzel. Dunznell? I'm not saying that right. Please comment on my correction of these, please. There was not always only 4 great nations. Long ago, races were more divided into many nations and city-states. In the 7,000 years of recorded history, wars upon wars were fought. Some for land, other for resources, many for beliefs. Royal houses stood and fell over the years. Some now long bereft of lordship. Many city-states exist in Vera, some self-governed bastions of democracy and republics alike. Others are vassal states of behest of their benefactors. So, with this really basic explanation of some of the start of the lore of the different races, we're going to look into the Dunir just a little bit. So this has a personal connection with me. I really like dwarves in all the games I've played, and this one takes a little bit different direction. Let's look into the Dunir a little bit. So the Dunir are a playable race. The Dunznell Dwarven Race, and Ashes of Creation. Stoic, Tradition, and Forge. Most of the peoples from the old world would see a mountain and think nothing of it. The Near saw a defensible home where riches were abound. The Dunir take immense pride in what they craft and what they build. Fortifications that seem impregnable, war hammers that never break, or beautiful gems for their royalty and their repertoire. Do not be deceived by their stout nature. They're pound for pound the strongest warriors the world has ever known. So, as you guys say, hey, I want to know more about this race. I have a personal connection to this race because let's discuss things like that. Let's discuss the architecture of the races, the deeper bits of lore. So that's what I want to do with this channel. It's really what I'm looking forward to do. I want to interact with the community. I want to see what your guys' thoughts are. Maybe you have information that I don't know because I was never involved in Alpha 1. I'm going off of information that I can find out there and other people's opinions as well. I'm really excited to start Alpha 2 when it's available, and we'll get even more bits and pieces of lore. We're going to record some of that stuff and put it on this channel. So I'm really excited for that. I also have a live stream on Twitch, and I will be covering Ashes of Creation as it comes out. For now, we'll be doing these bits. Thank you for watching. Like and subscribe, and share it with your friends, and join the community. Have a good night.